assist with the investigation. And they're able to look at our shot spotter system that actually helped kind of give a really good location of about where those rounds came from, which was in a complex near 59th Avenue and Rose. Detectives started searching the area, doing a canvass of the area, and we're looking for any type of clues or anything that might help figure out exactly where this came from. They were able to obtain video from residents nearby that actually surprisingly showed exactly what happened. And as they're looking through the video, you could see two young men come out of a home. One of them fires a round from a handgun in the direction of where the officers were at, and then gives it to the other friend, who fires 3 rounds. During this, they're also videotaping with a cell phone, I shouldn't say video, but recording with a cell phone of the incident. As the officers are watching this video, one of them was actually able to identify one of the males through previous contact. The surprising part of this was that that one male was a 14-year-old juvenile male, and after further investigation, they were able to look and find out that the other juvenile was a 13-year-old juvenile male. With the information now that the detectives had, they were able to get a search warrant, arrested 2 juveniles, and also obtain the weapon that was used. Detectives spoke with both the juveniles. The 13-year-old, again shocking in what he said, was that he shot at the officers because he wanted to murder a police officer. Said he pulled the trigger once, fired the round, and was aiming at the officer's head. The 14-year-old said that he was the one that actually snuck into his mother's room, grabbed the handgun, and gave it to the 13-year-old. The 14-year-old said that he was intending to shoot approximately 1 foot over the officer's head, and admitted that when he came out after the 13-year-old fired the round, that he took the gun and fired 3 rounds just above the officers. Currently, both juveniles are been arrested and booked into the juvenile division system. The 13-year-old is charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, and unlawful discharge of a firearm. The 14-year-old is being charged with aggravated assault and unlawful discharge of a firearm. So what I'm going to show you now is some of the video. This is the video of the actual 2 juveniles. Obviously, because of the being juveniles, we had to blur out some of the information, but you'll get a good depiction of what occurs and see the reactions of what they're doing here. And the next video we're going to show is of the officers.
Yep. Yep. Stay behind you, Jim. Okay. You move over there.
I'll let it play out and I'll explain what's going on in some of these parts.
Okay. Yeah, that came by my head. You want to go this way? No, I want to stay behind an engine block. I think we're good here by this engine. Still no shot spotter. We got to pinpoint where this is coming from. Sound like it was coming from the south. That's north, dude. Correction. From the north. Did it sound like a rifle?
No, it sounded like a pistol.
Okay. It sounded like it was a handgun as well. Okay, that was 4 shots fired. get Kind shut down. We need Kind shut down at 5'9". We need Kind shut down maybe at 6'1". But again, we don't know where from the north is coming from, so the unit at 6'1", take cover best you can. That was fucking close. That came right. Bethany, make your way in and try to make your way, if you can, on foot through the apartments. We have about 3 officers that are taking cover behind engine blocks at this time.
We're going to play it back when I go over it. Yeah, so we'll go over it again. I'll just explain some things. Obviously, when we start the video, you hear the shot, you can hear the round, and that's how close it was to the officers. You can actually hear it going by them in the air.
Yep.
So just to let you know a little bit, something that we're still trying to confirm some information on. There was some shots that they had heard earlier. They were trying to confirm where that came from. One of the juveniles did tell us that they did shoot some rounds off from the roof of the building prior, but we're still working on those details. The officers obviously took cover right away. And at this point, they know that the shooting is coming from the north, but again, they're going from doing a residential burglary where the scene's safe, secure, to all of a sudden getting shot at from an unknown direction other than they just know it's from the north. So they don't know how far it is, why they're getting shot at, anything. So they just start taking cover behind the safest places that they can. And this, fortunately, the person that here talking is a 20-year vet, very good officer, very good with tactics, and you can hear him calm down and start to talk things through. He's the one providing radio with the information, trying to get safely, bring in that support. So you'll hear him actually talk about where he's trying to get people set up to close the area, set up a perimeter around what we believe the shots came from, and make the area safe.
Over there. Over there. Okay. Yeah, that came by my head. I want to stay behind an engine block. I think we're good here by this engine. Radio, still no shot spotter. We got to pinpoint where this is coming from. Sound like it was coming from the south.
From the north.
That's north, dude.
Correction.
Correction,
From the
north.
north. Did it sound like a rifle?
No, it sounded like a pistol.
Okay. It sounded like it was a handgun as well. Okay, that was a 4 shots fired.
I think a lot of years working the range, we hear a lot of the difference between pistol and rifle. There's definitely some distinctive sound differences that these officers are able to pick up. They had an idea that it was probably a handgun being shot, and again, they were able to figure out the direction of where it came from, just not exactly how far back or anything. Yeah.
Can we hear it one more time?
Yeah, you want to hear this one?
The whole thing, the mics are up on the stand, I need to turn my shotgun mic to pick up the audio.
Okay. And keep in mind, we'll be sending out the videos also, so
Yeah.
those will be sent out. And just to go over some things that you're going to see, obviously the one that's just a 13-year-old that comes out, you could see that gun is pointed at a level which is going to be consistent with what he said later on, that he was shooting at the officer's head. The other one comes out, shoots a little bit higher, again, consistent with what he later said, that he was trying to shoot above the officer's head. And you know, obviously see the continued shooting, pushing that muzzle up as he continued, and then running back into the home.
Was this like a neighbor's Ring doorbell footage?
It was neighbors. Yeah, some type of video from a neighbor. I'm not exactly sure exactly what it was.
Got a quick question. During the investigation, is the parent going to be charged for having that gun out that was able to be taken from that?
So I could just tell you this time they're still furthering that investigation to find out if there will be any charges brought up on anybody else. Obviously, the main part was dealing with the 2 juveniles, which came about yesterday afternoon. So I'm very busy dealing with that. But as the investigation continues, those decisions will be made.
And you arrested them yesterday?
Yes.
And you said they were filming? Were they filming like on their
Cell phones, it
TikTok?
looks like. Yeah, we don't know for sure. It looks like Snapchat, but we're still trying to, again, further some of those investigations and figure out exactly what it was.
We'll play this video again. If you look, you'll see the light from the recording device that they're using. Can you turn off the lights, please?
You can see the recording over there, then he hands it over.
Is there any relation between those kids and the suspects that were in the patrol vehicle that you guys know of?
Not that we know of. One of the kids mentioned something about a person that had been arrested, but I'm not sure if it was those people or another incident that he's talking about.
Can you talk about that shot spotter and how important it's been for Glendale police over the years?
Yeah, the shot spotter's been, I mean, we've had it, I believe, longer than I've been on. I've been on almost 20 years. It really helps detect, it does several different things. One, will get officers going in the direction of shootings when they occur. You can actually hear the officers in this trying to get information about where that shot spotter picked it up. And later on, we're able to really look at it closely and give a pretty good detailed area where that came from, which really narrowed down the search of where those officers or the detectives were trying to figure out where it came from. But it helped locate the area they found the video, which again helped locate the 2 suspects, figure out who those 2 suspects were. So the shot spotter technology has been very useful. I mean, we've made arrests off of it. Again, it's got us moving in the direction before we've gotten calls for service, and it also pinpoints locations of where those occurred. And in addition to that, we have now how many shots were fired, right? We can go back and look at it. Obviously, body cam, you can hear 4 shots, but that was also detected during the shot spotter that we were able to pull that information too.
How does it work exactly? Is it like a radar?
It's different sound devices that triangulate sound and it able to determine what gunfire is from like a fireworks, and then it uses that triangular sensors to figure out exactly pinpoint where the location. It's pretty accurate. I mean, it'll get you within a few feet of where you're looking at usually.
You mentioned that it was quoted that one of the teens wanted to quote murder a police officer. Did they say that after they were arrested? Was that?
Yeah, during the interview with detectives, the 13-year-old is the one that said that he wanted to murder a police officer.
And then the 14-year-old said, I just wanted to shoot above the officer's
That's
head.
what he said. He was aiming above, try to shoot above the officer's head.
Well, any inkling that this might be like a social media motive behind this? Or you mentioned one of them was had previous run-ins with the law. Any sort of background you can provide?
As far as like exactly the reasoning behind it, we don't know. We don't know exactly if they were trying to do social media or if they're angry at police. We can just tell you what we were told.
How does that make you feel hearing a teenager say that they want to murder an officer?
Yeah, I think when you look at the officers that were on scene, and I've talked to some of the officers, it's one thing to have this happen, but when you find out later that it's 2 juveniles, 13 and 14-year-old, that were shooting at you for no apparent reason, I mean, it's appalling. And it's in almost 20 years that I've been here, I've never heard of anything like this.
Are you feeling, or are you seeing, based on what we're seeing more gun violence in the valley, that officers are becoming targeted?
It's always something that we have to be concerned about. It's always something that we have to be aware of. All I can tell you is I've never seen anything like this before. So to answer your question, I mean, you can look at the national perspective and everything on it, but I think this is proof that there's definitely some problems. But it is a singular incident in this case too, so.
Problems and any solutions? I mean, obviously this is an isolated incident, but this is kind of a bigger conversation, right? Like,
Yeah.
is there, like, what needs to be solved?
No, and it is a bigger conversation, but, you know, as police, we always are working within the community to try to improve things for the community. And it's really a lot to do with community police working together to try to have a better place for everybody to live and a safer place for everybody to live. Again, the officers here doing their job. They're there potentially arresting suspects that may be doing a burglary when they're shot at for no apparent reason. And those are just things that we'll have to work, again, continue to work with our community to try to find a better and safer place for everybody, and that's what those officers were doing, and that's what we'll continue to do.
So, no, I was gonna say ShotSpotter led you to the location, but what led you to believe that it was actually these teenagers that shot? Did they confess? Or
So the detective was able to locate the video. Then they saw the video that we showed with the teenagers doing the shooting. One of them was recognized by one of the officers through past contact.
sorry if I missed it. What were the guns used?
What's that?
What type of guns were used?
I can tell you it was a semi-automatic handgun.
What? Or
What's that?
just one?
One gun.
Is there a relationship between the two suspects? Were they brothers or cousins?
I'm not sure. I think they said they were cousins, but I'd have to verify that because sometimes that word gets used loosely. I'm not sure.
Do you know if they're gonna be charged as adults?
That's something that'll be up to the county attorney. Obviously, we charge them through the juvenile division, and that's something they'll have discussions within themselves to figure out exactly where they want that to go.
Was it the 13-year-old or the 14-year-old that officers recognized?
It was the 14-year-old that officers recognized.
And any kind of description about what his past was?
I don't know exactly what it was. I just know it was more than one officer that recognized them. So, I mean, it could have been a call where he's a suspect or not. I don't know, but they had recognized him from something.
Can you talk about the burglary suspects and how you're able to keep them safe and not the way that these shots were?
Yeah, so the officers had two duties, right? Obviously, to keep themselves safe, but they were also dealing with 3 potential suspects to the burglary. So they had to evacuate that little bit of the area and then build a bigger perimeter around it. But they had to evacuate those 3 individuals out to get them to safety.
How are the officers doing now? Are they shaken up? Are they back on the beat or?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was able to talk to a few of the officers. You know, it's one of those things that everybody's different in how they deal with situations like this emotionally. Some might be a very little effect, some might be a lot more affected. It depends on what they say. I mean, talking to them, I didn't really get an indication either which way, but I think there's a lot of frustration, though, when you see something like this happen, then it's like their lives are the ones that are being targeted for senseless reasons by such young children. And I think there's some frustration level that's involved in that. But we do have a very good support system through the PD that will work with them and continue to work with them and make sure that they're doing the best that they can.
You mentioned that the 20-year veteran was leading the radio calls. Can you describe, I mean, that's got to be in training where you say, like, duck behind engine block, right? Because that's the best way to protect yourself against gunfire, correct?
Yeah, and a lot of times we know what's usually around us, right? Vehicles. Bullets can't go through vehicles, so engine blocks are something that can stop. So if you can get behind engine block, it's a safer area for the officers to go to. Yeah, the 20-year veteran that you heard talking, I mean, what a great job he did. And I think in the video you can hear him finally like get that breath in. So it was very stressful, but he did a great job, kept calm, and I think with him keeping calm, he kept everybody else calm.
And the detective that was able to bring all this and piece together what happened, just talk about his reaction to this. Obviously, probably something he's never seen before, too.
I don't think it's anything either of us have seen before. We're all shocked. I mean, to sit there and have 2 juveniles shoot at our officers, completely unrelated, out there completely unrelated to anything, it's very shocking. The detective that took the case, outstanding detective, and, did a really good job at quickly getting that information. I mean, it's a little bit to deal with, and he turned it into a lot. So was able to get them in custody within 14 hours maybe, roughly. So great job.
Are there any other potential charges with if someone left a gun where these kids could get them or anything like that?
It's something, again, you really have to look at the totality of everything that happened. It's potential, but it just depends, and you really have to look at everything about the case. So
What happened to the burglary suspect?
that case is going to be further investigated. So obviously they couldn't deal with that at that point, so it'll be further investigated, though.
All right, thank you guys. And once
you.
again, all the video that you saw here will be emailed to you all along with the press release, so it'll go to your stations, so you'll have cleaner copies of all the videos. Thank you guys for coming.
Are you available for Spanish interview?